welcome to Spiked Up, episode 10. We've made it to double digits. I cannot thank enough JJ Williams, Anton Walkes for joining us today. I'll start it off by just saying, Darren and I started Spiked Up, the podcast, as a way to, have some fun content during this time. We've had a lot of laughs. We've had some great guests, but lately there's not a lot of laughs and there's not a lot of fun. And, we wanted to, do something a little different today and just have you guys on and talk to you as Atlanta United players. I'm going to toss it to Darren. I think Darren's been very connected in this and during this time, but for me, it's been a really awful, few days. I mean, it's been tough, and it's hard to know what to say. It's hard to know what to watch, and I'm being honest. JJ, I don't know you as well, but Anton, I do know you, and we go way back, but this has been a weird one and a really horrible one. But I'm going to throw it to Darren, and we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. And look, obviously it goes without saying this is difficult times. The tragic death of George Floyd, and he's just one name. They just happen to be caught on video, but it's got the whole country talking about this. Really, the whole world. And look, we realise we do this podcast, but Matt, I hope you don't mind me calling you middle-aged. We're two middle-aged white guys. We wanted to get two of our Atlanta United players, young black players that we can't even begin to sort of convey the feelings that you guys are going through, and a lot of our listeners. So we built Atlanta United about being a voice for our city. We know Atlanta's famous for being the cradle of the civil rights movement. It was the city too busy to hate. It's the birthplace of Martin Luther King Jr. And our fans, we take pride in the unity and the diversity of our fans. So really glad that you guys could join us on here. Know it's a difficult time, but just wanted to have a chat and just get our listeners as well to hear from you about what you guys are going through and your thoughts on the current situation. So thanks for joining us, and perhaps kick it to you first, JJ, as someone that's from this country and you're from Alabama. I know Montgomery, Alabama. We had a chat yesterday. Just give us a little bit of your thoughts of what's going on at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, this is like you said, it's a crazy, crazy time right now. I think this is a time where a lot of people either, are very enraged, with everything that's been happening, because like you said, those are only a few names that are videoed and that are recorded. And think about all the names that are, not seen, or the ones that are not recorded, and that nothing happens. And I just know that, being from Montgomery, Alabama, that, from the age that I was able to drive or anything like that, my parents always told me, especially my dad, he always let me know that, you just got to handle yourself in the right way, because you don't know, it could not be you, the things that are happening, things that might happen, they might not be your fault. Sometimes things just happen that way. So I think there's a lot of issues that need to be addressing. I think that a lot of people are starting to be informed now. I think that's the most important thing. I know some of these topics we'll probably talk about, but like Drew Brees, that whole thing that went down. And it's just, it was just that right there is a good example of being informed, not being informed. And, that's just one part of it. But I think it's a really good time. It's not a good time right now, but it's a really good thing that a lot of people are able to be informed now and know what struggles and what, discriminations and hardships that Black people have to go through on an everyday basis. It's not just when something like this occurs, and we're seeing it in the past with Trayvon Martin and these people, to where, it's a talking point and then it disappears. It's a talking point and disappears. And I think that right now is a really good time that we can get that change started. We can get that change really set in stone, and we can make some stuff happen. So.
Yeah, thanks, JJ. And Anton, from your perspective, just for the listeners' benefit, just share, what you've been thinking this sort of past couple of weeks.
It's been frightening because, like JJ said, yet again, we've witnessed, innocent life get taken when, there's so much going on this year already with, viruses trying to wipe out people, and for the law to break the law by taking another life, it kind of makes us question, have we really improved in terms of all the people that have come before us fighting for our rights? And I think right now we need to address the situation and make sure we get a result, because history keeps repeating itself and it's time we start to move forward.
Yes, I mean, that point about history repeating itself, Anton, it's interesting. So, I know you're a fellow Brit, but coming from England, I didn't really know too much on Martin Luther King Jr. and the whole civil rights movement. I read the letter from a Birmingham jail for the first time a few days ago, and that's 57 years old. And that was the bit that struck me, was everything he wrote there was absolutely on point for now. And I think, that for me really hit home, because, this isn't something new. This is something that's been going on. And I'd be interested for you guys to share Footy Mob. So, we've got our 4 supporters groups. Footy
Yep.
Mob, Curtis Jenkins, who's one of the leaders in Footy Mob, wrote an article in Dirty South. It was really a letter, and it was basically him saying, look, just sharing his personal views as a black man in America. But he was saying, look, this isn't unusual. This is happening, at least once a year. He would get stopped and have his encounter with the police and have to be really careful. I mean, is that something, JJ, perhaps, being brought up in America, have you had those instances where you've had to deal with, police pulling you over, or anything where you felt like there was, because you're a young black man, you were being treated differently?
Oh yeah, I mean, we had a call yesterday between some of the guys on the team, and I felt like I was sitting there talking, like I was the only person talking for a minute, because it was just, there were instance upon instance. And I'm thinking with police, thankfully there hasn't been too many, to where I remember one time, we were driving up to New York to see my family on my mom's side, and a cop pulls us over, and my mom was in the back, but it was me, my trainer, which is also black, and her son. But my mom and her son were in the back, and it was just us two in the front. And everybody started waking up right whenever we got pulled over. It was early in the morning, and right whenever we get pulled over, you come up, and normally how interaction should normally go is, hey, like, license and registration, or they'll say, how fast you were going, something of that sort. But it immediately just starts with aggression, and from the cop's perspective. And it's something that normally, like, whenever, as being a black man coming especially from America, I know that, like, my parents taught me, you don't give them any reason to do stuff. You don't go digging around, other than if he's sitting right there with, you say, you don't know, I got to find my license registration, but you don't go digging around or for anything like that, because we've seen, time and time again, they might think that you're reaching for a gun or a knife or something like that. And, it's a terrible thing that you really have to fear, and be afraid. I actually, it's a funny thing you bring it up, because last night, me and my sister were coming back from the falls, where we went hiking up there, and there was a cop that was sitting over there, and that car right beside flew right past me, but the cop was sitting right behind me with his lights on for a second, and I was like, please no, please, like, this is not, and it's just one of those things that right whenever you see it happen, or right when you think it's going to happen, that, like, you should never feel as nervous as you are, unless you're doing something wrong, right? But you should never feel like nervous or anxious or even scared of what could happen in that scenario, So there's many instances I could continue to talk about, but.
And Anton, I mean, we spoke about this isn't an American problem. I'd be interested, from your background in England, sort of growing up. I mean, do you recall, like, your first time where you felt there was some, racial inequality just growing up in England?
Yeah. I was probably about 15 at the time, and I was going to the local carnival in my area. So every summer they will throw an event for just my area. Local community will come together, and literally I was walking down the street. It's a 2-minute street, and I got stop and searched 4 times on the same road. So the explanation was the same every single time. You fit the same description, when ultimately the description is your skin color.
Yeah.
So it's a tough one to deal with. And, at the time, I was very open-minded to it because I understood that they were trying to do their job in terms of, at the time, knife crime was very high, but they were identifying as knife crime being black. And that's not ultimately the case, I think. So that was a very hard one to deal with. And to compare to here, the rioting, the protesting, we pretty much witnessed that with Mark Duggan in London.
Yeah.
When, especially Tottenham, we have that link.
Yeah.
I went to day release the same day that happened, and I got to witness that exact same thing in terms of people peacefully protesting and getting hurt. So in terms of that, I think it still speaks volumes how people just want justice, and in that process people are still getting hurt. So I feel like we're fighting a losing battle right now.
Yeah.
What I've tried to make phone calls. Like Darren said, 2 middle-aged white guys. But it is, I have been affected by it, and I can only imagine how you've been affected by it. What can I do? What can Darren do? What can we do? Like, do you have any advice on what we can do to help make a change, to just a positive change?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, this kind of starts, there's plenty of place where it starts, like, they start talking about, kids don't know hate. They don't know any of that stuff whenever they're born. It's taught, it's seen, it's learned, it's, and whether how that happens or where it comes from, I think a lot of it has to do with, like, there is a systematic racism that's very real in America. And, I don't think that, especially for a lot of Black men and Black individuals, that, that it's really, the system's not really set up for us to succeed, and there's a lot of downfall and things like that. But I mean, I think for you guys, really just trying to know and learn and be as knowledgeable as possible, because it's the same thing. My girlfriend, her mom was asking me the same exact thing. What can I do to help? What can I do to? And I think this is a big time of hurt and anger, and even she tried to reach out and say some things, and she got a little backlash for it because all she was doing was trying to help. But really, I think the most important thing that can happen right now is just helping your loved ones, your family, the people you're close to that you can really make a difference on. Any kids, as many people as you can reach out to, just try to let them know, like, everybody's in this together. People are people, that's the main thing, is just informing yourselves and informing your families and your loved ones, as much as you can about everything that's going on, everything that Black people have to go through, but not just that, like, doing what we can and having the, respect and everything like that to just make it equal. That's all we want. We don't want more than our share, anything like that. We just want it to be equal, and have the same opportunities is the most important thing.
Yeah. And Anton, from your perspective, I sense, your frustration in that things haven't changed. It's, you use the phrase losing battle. Is there anything from your perspective that you think, could be effective for us as a club? Think about Atlanta United. Is there a thing that we can do as a club with our supporters to try and
I'll be honest, from where I see from our club, I've never been so happy to be associated with us, because I know we are a family and we continue to show that. And You know, everyone I've had multiple people at the club, you, Carlos, you know, all the staff contact me and make sure I was okay. And I know not everybody can get that support. And if I feel away, you're gonna support me. And I think that's the best thing, because I know you personally, and I know you've done everything within your house to make sure, you know, you've done your job, and you've done it fantastically. You've handled the club fantastically, and I think we just got to continue to do that. And you know, for example, I don't know if anyone's going to go to this extreme in terms of being heard and making it sure it's seen. But when, you know, Colin Kaepernick done what he did, all he asked was to be heard. Just please listen to what I'm saying. We are getting hurt. We are getting killed. I'm not disrespecting nobody else. I know you may feel that way, but can you please listen to me? And I think when we all listen to each other, I think that's when things will start to progress.
Yeah. Like you were saying, you know, I don't want to cut you off, but unity, you know, unity together, and you know, we're all, that's the thing is, even if, like you guys said, you might not understand everything that happens, you know, and all the struggles and discrimination, everything like that, but you see the signs everywhere. We might not understand, but we will stand, you know, and just the support, you know, because that's the thing is, I'm new, but like Anton was saying, is I've had a lot of the staff reach out to me and ask, how's the family doing? How are you doing? Is everything all right? Anything we can do? And, you know, that means a lot, you know, just because having that support, and there's a lot of people that don't have that support, you know, especially with everything that's going on right now. A lot of people feel like they're kind of by themselves going through it. So I think everybody handles it in a different way, but I think that's really appreciated.
Well, look, guys, I mean, that's good. Just even as the start, that idea of listening, I think that's something that you know, we've been talking internally across all of our associates, that, you know, a lot of us are wired to just go straight into action. What can we do to fix it? We know we've got to listen to, but I like your idea, Anton and JJ, of, you know, listening and providing that platform. And you know, we're united as a club in that respect. So, you know, this is something that's not going to be a quick fix, but I think even starting this chat, this dialogue, I know you guys are talking in the background, we're talking. This is something with our supporters. I really feel like we can provide a megaphone and a platform to try and get that message across. So again, anything we can do in that respect and that area is, as you guys know, that's something that we'll look to do. Anton, I'm interested just from your perspective as well. Have you spoke to anyone back in England in terms of the impact that what's happening over here in the States is having back there?
Yeah, I feel with what happened with the situation here, I think that might have been the breaking point in terms of how much people can take. So now back home as well in London, people are protesting for the same causes that, you know, we're asking for. Just, you know, the justice system here to work, the justice system back there to work. Because, you know, if you look at who's breaking the law, it's the people who impose it. So I don't think we can get anywhere amongst ourselves as, you know, normal people if, you know, the ones we trust to make sure everything's in place are the ones that are causing the trouble. So there's been quite a lot of it over there, and, you know, they're supporting here, which is great as well, because that we're saying it's all about unity and making sure we're here for each other. And, you know, I think right now is a sign which shows the numbers are getting more and more and people are actually listening. And there has been progression, but, you know, we're far from finished.
Yeah.
JJ, two things kind of you just said struck with me. So I think I had a college professor one time, and someone said, "Hey, how do you make the world a better place?" And he said, "You raise kids, you teach them the right values, and if you do that, then your hope is they're going to do the same thing. Their kids are going to do the same thing." And you know, Darren and I both have children, and it's been a weird one this week. Is, you know, you turn the news on and you try to explain to your 7-year-old daughter what is happening, and I've tried to teach love and unity, like you said. But I'd love to get your thoughts. You know, kind of what you said with, you know, your mother or your girlfriend's mom, kind of calling you out. What would your advice be to someone who wants to reach out, speak out, but is afraid that they might say the wrong thing?
That's the same thing we were kind of talking about with the Drew Brees situation, you know, and they asked about Kaepernick kneeling and everything like that. And really, if he was knowledgeable on the situation before he spoke, then I think that, you know, he would have realized that it was for a completely different thing, right? And I think I think being knowledgeable is one aspect of it, but I'm just gonna ask, even if not, it's not something that you're completely comfortable. You know, I was talking to Brad Guzan, and he was saying the same thing. You know, it's like now he's starting to come around to it because he wants to help. He really wants to help, and he wants to go out there and help as much as he can. But even with that, it's a conversation that, you know, you never really had before. And if you are, especially not being Black, then there's a little bit of maybe uncomfortable feelings or something like that. So, I mean, I think anything that you do is just it's got to be genuine, you know, genuine out of love, and just make sure as many people can realize that as possible, because, you know, especially if you do it out of the goodness of your heart and stuff like that. I mean, I know a lot of hurts going on right now, and bottom line is sometimes people just get mad, you know, over things that can happen. You know, there's a whole debate right now happening. Is it Black Lives Matter, or what people don't know to put, Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter, this or that, because there is I think we can't lose sight that, you know, a life is a life, you know. I think right now this is even a bigger issue with Black Lives Matter, because somebody used the analogy that, you know, if, you know, hey, you know, my stuff is outside getting rained on, and they were like, well, what about my, you know, we got to watch about my stuff too. And they're like, but your stuff is not outside getting rained on. Your stuff is not, you know, about to get broken. My stuff is, but my stuff's in the house, you know. And I think that kind of describes how, you know, why, like, fixing something that's currently broken. You know, we see in the Black community, this is something that's currently broken, you know. And so just trying to get that back on track, and anything like that, I honestly think that you're very smart and very knowledgeable, to where anything that you put out there, like you said, you're trying to inform your daughter, and trying to let her know. And the best way my parents did it is, you know, my dad's Black, my mom's white, and best way they did it is people are people, you know. You love somebody, and that's all you can do. I mean, you get cut, we're going to bleed the same color. You know, if something doesn't work in my body and I have to donate it to you, it's going to work just as good, you know, might even work a little bit better. You know, you never even know, right? So I think it's something to where just getting everybody to realize that, you know, life is life, and it's way too short to go around hating or discriminating or anything like that. So
I appreciate those words. And look, guys, it's, you know, the listening, that, you know, the things that we can take from this, and our listeners, I think it's really valuable insights. I wanted to change gears on something a little bit more positive now, because obviously the good news from the soccer front is that you guys are now actually small group training. We've had 2 days of that now, where you're able to shock horror, be able to pass the ball to another human being rather than just playing it off the rebound wall. So just how's it gone for you guys actually being back with your teammates, being able to interact? Is that something that has given you something that has got a smile on your face?
JJ, do you want to go, or should I?
go ahead, Anton.
It's been fun. I've missed the guys, but definitely I think, you know, especially with the way things ended up for us so quickly, I think it was kind of a tough few weeks dealing with, you know, getting football taken away from us, and just to have it back, being with the group, getting that spirit back, a sense of, you know, positivity, moving in the right direction. And yeah, I think some of the guys that are passing the ball to me today, I think I prefer my bounce ball to No, it's been fun. All the jokes like that, you know, good banter with the group. So yeah, it's been fun being back.
Yeah. And how about you, JJ? You literally just got here, and then we all went off to quarantine. So it must be nice for you to get reintroduced.
Yeah, I know. I mean, yeah, I know. I mean, it's been crazy. You know, I didn't even get a place until, you know, about 2 weeks ago, because at this point I hadn't had to, you know, pay rent or anything yet. And so this was kind of a first time thing for me. And I was trying to hold off as long as I could, just figuring out if we were going to end up coming back or not coming back. But thing is what I'm excited for is there's no, as much as people say it, you know, there's not a culture, there's not a facility, it's not an organization like Atlanta United. There's just not, you know. And I haven't been around to everyone, but I'm telling you right now that
Oh,
can you hear me?
you back?
Oh, he's got too excited and gone.
We just don't have great Wi-Fi. That's the only thing we don't have.
Yeah.
So yeah, getting the Wi-Fi set up today, you know. So no, but I think it's been great because before I've just been able to watch all these guys play as like as a fan, you know. I've been able to watch and kind of like nitpick and figure out, but I've been on the opposite side. But now, you know, you're playing with some of the best players in the league on your team, and it constantly, for me being a young player, I'm able to learn from them, you know, time and time again, you know. And then whenever we get back into full training and stuff, you know, it'll be me going up against good defenders like Anton, and then, you know, I'm learning so much from him, you know, and I'm learning so much from these guys and the coaching staff, and they're just continuing to, you know, make me better as an individual. But just, you know, hopefully soon, somewhat soon, we can get everything back healthy, and I want to play in that stadium while it's pulled up. So that's what I've been dreaming about.
Yeah, that'd certainly be that'd be nice, and that's what we're all hoping for. And finally, I think for our supporters, it would just be, I know they'd be interested, but be interested in your guys' views. You know, this Orlando tournament, how do you feel? Are you feeling like this is another chance for a trophy for Atlanta United? How do you feel about our chances? Anton, perhaps you first.
Well, hopefully, you know, we're leaving there with, you know, some silverware. I think, you know, like we said, I spent the first year here and I went away and the club done fantastically. And, you know, that's the ambition we set out for from day one. And, you know, regardless of what tournament it is, if we're going there to win. And, you know, that's the ambition. So hopefully, you know, going into, you know, the later months of the year, we'll be in a very good place.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Franco did history. I've got the trophy. This is the one that Franco won for doing his FIFA. So
don't worry. We'll get you another one to post in your bed. We know you that cat photo, so we'll try to sort it out for you.
I know, Anton. I was bummed that I had to pick Franco and not you for the FIFA. I had to pick him. He said he was better than you.
Hey, you done the job, so we'll do credit to him. I'll get my revenge in Orlando. Don't worry.
Well,
look, guys, I really appreciate your time coming on here, and you know, I know it's difficult circumstances, so can't thank you guys enough. Great to see you both back there out in the small group training. You know, hopefully we're going to get back to full training soon, and then, you know, get the season back. And you know, I love that imagery, JJ, of that full Mercedes-Benz Stadium with our amazing fans. You know, that can't come quick enough. But appreciate it. Look, and this is something that, you know, is obviously going to continue to evolve, and you know, we've all got to hold ourselves accountable across the club. To your point, Anton, not to say that this is a losing battle, and so, you know, I ask you guys to be part of that as we sort of make sure that we don't just sort of say that, you know, hold our hands up and say we can't do something. And you know, we have that platform. We have an owner in Arthur Blank who's obviously committed to the city of Atlanta and these types of issues. So, you know, it's going to be, I think, a positive how we can work together to try and find ways to make meaningful change. So I'm excited about that prospect. So look, appreciate it so much. Right. And you get yourself a rest after that tough training session today.
Thank you.
Both. I really
Cheers,
appreciate your honesty and your realness today. Can't thank you enough, and it means a lot. And you know, we really appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, with if you need stories to go around, you got plenty of them, and just to anybody that needs anything, like for both of you especially, and anybody in the club or anybody listening, just anything that we can do, as an organization or as a club, or as myself, I think that's one of the most valuable things we can do in this time is just to be there for each other, and that's really how we get moving in the right direction. Like Anton said, it's not a losing battle. That's how it feels like it is, and we need to change that. And I think the only way we're going to be able to do that is if we're all standing together. So I think now is a great time. We can make a change.
I appreciate that. And then the other thing, I think we might have to, Anton, put subtitles because, people always say they can't understand me. And when you were saying knife, just do knife again for me.
Knife.
Knife, just to let everyone know earlier on.
Knife.
Anton was saying knife.
I get it a lot. My accent's a bit stronger than yours as well. So.
Hey,
Yeah,
listen,
it seems to get stronger. To be honest, Anton, you went to Portsmouth and came back with an even broader.
Hey, when I try to talk to Darren on the phone, I have to. I am literally like, what? Like it is. Can you slow down?
I know. That's why when anyone asks me a question, I normally reply in like 4 words. I don't mean any disrespect.
No, I'm only kidding, Anton. But thanks, guys. Appreciate it, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Take care.
Thank you.